should have on screen our guest, Mr. Zain Duhaney.
I was wondering where you were, Zain. Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. I was wondering where you were. Because my script didn't say virtual.
We were told virtual, so
sorry, it wasn't expressed to us on our script, so sorry about that.
Okay. Well, just to repeat again, we have on screen Mr. Zain Duhaney, Program Coordinator, Diploma in Disaster Risk Management, and Ms. Beyonce Villafranco, Galen's Eagle and Youth Representative for Belize Disaster Risk Reduction. Good morning.
Good morning, and welcome.
So tell us a little bit about what's happening there at Galen and as it relates to the whole issue of disaster risk management. Start with you, Mr. Duhaney.
Yes, sir. It's a pleasure again to see you.
Yes, good to see you. Yes, we met yesterday indeed.
No trouble in the meter, no?
No, we met at one of your favorite subject area, good governance.
Yeah, good governance.
Yes.
But we shift the narrative now, and in terms of disaster risk management, we look at Galen our response to addressing the needs within Belize, and as part of this response, we found it necessary through our leadership and the president could account for that. They need to create a program in disaster risk management. There's no such program in Belize. While there are a couple scholarships being offered by international institutions, it's not tailored to the Belizean context. And this is an area when you look at capacity building that always needs improvement. But our program is unique that it has a model primarily dedicated to the protection of adolescents and children in disaster situations. So we look at that social protection component as very crucial within the disaster response mechanism. And we're proud to say that this first cohort has 48 students, of which 45 of them receive a scholarship through a partnership with Galen and UNICEF.
Okay. What would you deem or be the definition of disaster risk management?
Well, when you look at, we speak now about comprehensive disaster risk management, and we look at it in terms of we're shifting now from management to looking more at reduction and mitigation. So while primarily in previous years disaster response was the theme of the day, we look at how we could manage and reduce risk. So we look at that proactive side of things. Looking at climate change, climate risk, because ultimately reducing climate risk, you reduce disaster risk. So when we speak about disaster risk management, we look at the proactive steps that the disaster agencies and the disaster risk management team, and I speak about team because Mr. Mendes likes to eloquently say all of us are Nemo.
Yes,
so
that's what
we
you
look at
said.
that whole society approach to actually reduce risk within our communities. And disaster risk management is not only focused on hydrological risks such as hurricanes and floods. It has man-made components, looking at man-made hazards such as bomb threats, cybersecurity attacks. So in the frame of thought, when people hear disaster risk, they just look at
force majeure.
Hurricane.
It's much more than that.
There's much more than hurricanes.
They look more at the force majeure type elements. And from a young person's standpoint, Miss
Beyonce
Villafranco, from a youth standpoint, is this a major thing that comes up in your discussion that people are concerned about the reduction of disaster risk?
Oh yes, definitely. The participation of the youth is the most vital component when we talk about natural risk disaster management, because you must understand that we are the agent of change. We will be the one who will be implementing the future policies to mitigate these situations. So our participation is not only important, but it is essential in this area of natural disaster management.
And in terms of looking at that from as a career, do you see that as something that would be able to envelope all these minds that you're putting forward, Mr. Duhene? You see that as an area where people are starting to gravitate towards?
Yes, definitely. There's a demand for this area. What was lacking was the ability to get formally trained. And when we look at the Sendai framework, when it looks at one of the priority areas looks at increasing disaster risk knowledge. And I could see that Galen has allowed Belize to meet that tick in the box. Although we don't monitor formally the target implementation of the Sendai framework currently, the CDM audit that was conducted by SEDIMA spoke to formal education being an area that needs improvement, and we were able to assist in that. We're the only country in the region from these participating states, beside UA in Jamaica that has a degree, and UG that is starting one that has a program, but we're the only one that has a program that looks at social protection. And our program actually, there's so much work in terms of available for consultancy in terms of disaster risk management. We get a lot of the calls. Currently in Belize, there are about 5 people who have degrees in disaster risk management. And we're going to flip that tenfold when these first cohort
graduates.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
In terms of the actual program, Ms. Villafranco, you are obviously would be a part of this whole program. I would take it.
So I have plans to pursue higher education in natural disaster management, which is one of the most questions that I got during this conference, because I'm currently pursuing my bachelor's in criminal justice. And they always ask me, what is the relevance of criminal justice to natural risk disaster management? To which I would always respond, natural risk disaster management exists in all the departments. So it is important for people who are studying criminal justice or biology or business, because we all need to implement this in our career path. And as a justice student, it allowed me to gain a broader perspective in the role of the justice system and how we can maintain the public safety. And before, and like what Mr. Zane was saying, before it happens, while it happened, and when it had already happened, which as first responders, as my career path, as many of the people who would pursue this career path, this is essential for them to know where are these vulnerable areas, how we can get into these vulnerable areas and give them the resources necessary. So it is important in all departments, and I do have plans to pursue right at Galen at the postgraduate diploma.
Oh, great,
Excellent.
great.
Excellent.
In terms of the program itself, Zain, is it a 2-year program? How is this? Is it structured?
It's structured,
and how will it be delivered in terms of having the impact? Because a lot of it has to do a lot with live action and that sort of thing.
Very, very good question. So the program is a 1 academic year program, and we have it built in with 6 modules, giving you 18 credits. But the capstone project requires each student to create a comprehensive disaster management plan for the area they live. So in turn, they are going to boost resiliency within their community or the area they work, because that is always a problem in terms of the plans that are existent or non-existent within these communities. And these communities will now have subject matter experts to assist the range that NEMO has and the impact that NEMO is able to deliver in these, especially rural areas, because we have a wide cross-spread and equal representation across the country. So we have teachers, we have government professionals, we have career military officers. We have a range of persons represented in this cohort, but we also are building towards working with youth, and Beyonce's presence at that conference was very important because we normally miss youth representation from a lot of the policies we do, and they have innovative solutions and ideas how to improve our whole response mechanism. We have to look at it from a data-driven decisions, but creating citizen-centric policies, and part of that requires proper consultation and having these persons that form this quorum to actually have representation at the table.
I'm hoping to see, hopefully coming out of one of the projects they undertake is how do we stem the disaster of all the accidents we have on our roadways? Because I see that
is a good question, because
that's in itself is a disaster.
Galen earlier this year created what is an avoidable deaths network that looks at how we reduce avoidable deaths, and we're as part of our global reach in terms of this network that was created. We are going to look at creating road safety programs as part of our DRM programs and initiatives that are to follow, because we have a mandate, and especially when it comes to true social corporate responsibility, we need to assist in our communities and pass on some of our subject matter expertise to these areas. And I think we have the infrastructure and the education to actually assist the government in terms of trying to reduce this, because it has soared over 110 deaths, I think, watching the news yesterday, compared to where it was 70-something last year. So it's increasing significantly.
Yeah.
Because disaster can affect us at any time.
Yes, indeed.
Right? And I think the important thing is for us to realize that in our lives we need to be prepared for disasters. It's not only like saying hurricanes. You have fires, you have
all the force majeure, earthquakes, and so on.
Flooding,
seismic activity,
yes, indeed.
And disasters that are man-made as well.
Well, bomb threats, various explosions.
So we look at it, when we look at using the correct terminology, we say hazards versus disasters, because hazards are actually what we face, and the disaster is formed when that hazard comes in contact with some ecosystem or human population.
Yes, indeed. As it relates also to the program, and this is for you, Beyonce, is particularly as it relates to everything that you're seeing happening around us. How would you, as a younger person, deem where we are in terms of our disaster risk management in any of the areas, whether it's just looking at force majeure or the other areas that could be man-made as well? How do you feel as a younger person? Are we mentally, as a society, gearing up for something like that?
So, good question. Thank you for that. Well, I must say that the youth participation is a crucial component when we talk about the mitigating factors of natural risk disaster. And that is why I would say that it is important to implement programs that youth can get into right now at a young age, so as young as 10 years old, so that can know how to go through that development process of how to rightfully come up with policies that can make the world, that can make Belize a more safer place. And also we need to advocate for more mental health and emotional resilience within our youth. So it is important to prepare them mentally before we prepare them physically to be prepared for these events.
Yeah, yeah.
You said that disaster, mitigation of disaster risk management, Zane, and maybe you could expand on this, is achieved through prevention and mitigation, preparedness, disaster response, and recovery. That's basically the encapsulating. That's it there.
The stages of the DRM cycle.
That's the cycle. Yeah. That's the stages. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we look at,
you could expand on some of those.
Oh.
Yeah. Go ahead, Beyonce.
Okay. I just like to also mention that in Belize, I see that there's a failure of youth programs that we have that children can get into to make the change at once. Because when I was at St. Kitts for the conference, there were two other children there who spoke so eloquently and articulate themselves in a manner where they know what is happening in their country. They know what they can do they know the ideas of what they can do to help with these situations. But when we get into conversation of people of power, they get intimidated and they don't want to share their bright ideas. So if we can foster an environment where we can help them be confident enough to voice their opinion, voice their ideas, and let them feel safe that you are heard. You are a part of our country. You are a part of our decision making. That is what we don't believe.
Great, great. Zane, I just wanted to touch a little bit more on the issue of the program, because I think Beyonce brought up a very crucial point.
Yeah.
Is your mental stability, or your mental strength, because usually during the time of disaster you're mentally challenged as well, and some people won't be able to think. So how much of that is mental as well in your program?
So in the program, it is truly looking at an integrated approach to the protection of vulnerable groups within the program. So looking at psychosocial support in the recovery phase is important, because we don't look at that. Looking at how do we protect people with diverse abilities is an area as well that is equally important.
Right.
Because we tend to leave them out of the equation. Let's say we send a team to recover or respond to someone facing these hazards, and we send a truck and that person is differently able in terms of wheelchair requirements and so forth. But we need to factor all of these, or we have to have a comprehensive profile of where people live and what type of support they need, to include the psychosocial support requirements that we look at, because these events are traumatic.
Yes, they
and
are.
it requires the state ultimately to respond by providing the necessary resources, because it's not a cheap venture. It's like security is expensive, and one life lost is one life too much. So we have to look at it. But while we don't have direct disaster-related deaths, we have to look that we may have indirect deaths as a result, where people are cut off from accessing healthcare and psychosocial support that ultimately leads to their passing. So you have to look at it both from a direct and indirect standpoint when you look at the whole idea of disaster deaths.
Beyonce spoke about a postgraduate program as well. So there's a plan to elevate this whole program.
This is a postgraduate diploma, so it's half of a master's degree. It's 18 credit hours.
Okay.
So when Galen scales up the program, these persons would have had the first half of the program, and to join the program, you have to have a bachelor's degree as well.
That's what I wanted to get clarified. Yes.
So you have to have an undergraduate degree in any area, because it is a multidisciplinary issue. So we don't say you have to have a degree in such a field, because we need everyone involved in this whole reduction efforts. Teachers, safe schools initiatives is required. We need economics professionals, because we're looking at accessing funding. We look at how it affects GDP. Everything is so interrelated. It's like, I like to tell them, when we implement the SDGs, we have to implement them together. You can't have the favorite child and leave the 16.
All 17.
All 17. And the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction, the Sustainable Development Goals, and the Paris Protocol, which are these 3 global agreements, are so interconnected and work in harmony or unison to create the whole idea of resilience, what has been pushing, so far.
Okay.
So really, disaster risk management is everybody's business. In other words,
Yeah.
Everybody should be concerned.
So the program starts this school year.
Yeah. So we started already in the first cohort, but we are still accepting applications, so they could reach out to admissions at galen.edu.ez and look up the program. The application form is there. I like to say you don't have to be a professional to come here, but we'll make you a professional by the time you graduate. So you'll be the expert. We're training students nationally, but we're training them to have global impact. So they will leave and add to this whole reduction or global reduction efforts that is the expected outcome.
Yeah. And if you feel the same way about that, Beyonce?
Yes, definitely. I do believe that it is a topic that we all must be speaking about. Even yourselves, as people who talk on the news, you are in advocating for natural risk disaster management and also bring out news that are correct. So to avoid misinformation, your position is very, very essential. So we all play a role when we talk about natural risk disaster management.
Great. Well, we certainly wish you all the best with this program. I think it's very necessary. It's long overdue.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add, Zane and Beyonce?
Beyonce spoke about risk communication, and risk communication is very important. The chief and myself, Mr. Gab, have been at the forefront, and people turn to the media to get information, and proper information, speaking factually, is very important. But also, when we have the youth component or communication strategy needs to change, because people, the youth demographic, they don't listen to LoveFM, and they don't tune into the radio. So the national disaster mechanism, and include for LoveFM, I know you guys have utilized social media to reach them, so that is very good. That
so we are there too.
Shifting.
Yeah, we are there too.
We are all over.
Have a shift with the times.
Love is everywhere.
We have to change because the communication strategy changes, because there's youths are always missed out because we fail to change our communication strategy to reach them. And they're equally important because Belize is pretty much a very young nation with a lot of over half our population being our young persons to see,
That's true.
So Love is on YouTube and Facebook and everything.
Yes. Love is everywhere.
Besides terrestrial transmission, internet transmission.
Literally, LoveFM is the only station you'll catch Belizean in the Chiquibo Forest Reserve.
And that's a terrestrial signal, but the internet signal, you can catch it in any part of the world, right?
Yes.
You can on your iPad and your phone, any part of the world.
If you have internet.
If you actually have internet.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Well, certainly good luck with the program. Like I said earlier, it's something that is way overdue. And we are also mindful and glad that we're starting to see many of our young people recognizing the fact that the disaster is something that is everybody's business.
Quick last word for you, Beyonce, to the young people.
Beyonce, you have any last words?
Yes, definitely. So I just want to tell the young people that your voice are necessary. You need to be heard. You need to voice what is going on in your country. Let us know so we can do something about it. You don't have to be, as Mr. Zane had mentioned, you don't have to be a professional in this. There was this program, this software program that we were learning to use, which is open source mapping. You can do your part simply by mapping your area. Let us know where you're located. We can put statistics in our GIS, in our GIS program of how can we get these people out of these areas? Is the flooding more likely to happen in these areas? So simply by using your voice, using the little resources that you have home, you can make 1,000 difference, and it all starts by starting somewhere.
Great.
So do this together as youth to make sure that we provide a more resilient and safer community for every one of us.
Okay.
And also, your voice is important to educate other people and let them know what is happening.
Okay.
In this, it's very, very essential. We need to be talking to each other. We need to be with this together as a unity. So for sure, this was a very insightful and very humbling experience. I got so many different connection and networking from a lot of different countries, learning about what they're implementing in their country and what I would like to bring back to my own. So having conferences like this around the world and taking youth from out of Belize and letting them go in other countries to have such an eye-opening experience as I did is also very essential. We need to open doors of opportunity for our youth. And
all right, sure.
Okay.
Thanks very much. And
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys, and have a great Christmas.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, and all the best.
All the best.
All right,
Well,
Troy,
Chief.
it's 20 minutes to 9 o'clock, and let's take that break and come back. And I guess you could, the folks are only 10, 15 minutes, so hear from folks if they wish to call us. Huh? So we'll be right back after this break.